What's up, everybody? We're back here with another recording the computer screen high quality video. This is the highest quality that you're gonna find on YouTube. So don't even go and click off and keep looking. You want to stay right here because this is high quality. Um, did not the best on super regionals, not near as good as I did on regional rounds. I only picked A&M, Oklahoma, and Arkansas to go to the College World Series for my original bracket, and I had I had 7 of my 8 Omaha teams left in supers, so I wasn't gonna change my picks, even though I like what Auburn did in their regionals, liked what Ole Miss did in their regionals. Both those teams looked better than the team they were going up against in their regional, and I wanted to change my mind, but I just wasn't gonna do it. Because I would have hated myself if I changed my mind and I was right the first time. Anyways, enough of the BS. Let's get right into it. Start with the bracket 1: A&M, Oklahoma, Texas, Notre Dame. You have Texas, the preseason #1 overall team. A&M picked to finish like 6th in the SEC West, and here they are, #5 national seed in Omaha. Oklahoma, arguably the hottest team in the country, and Notre Dame, the oldest team in the field, probably the most mature team in the field. So yeah, very interesting. Bracket 1. This is a tournament that I don't say this really. I don't think at all about most College World Series. But this is probably the first time I've ever said I don't see one team that can't win this whole thing, and there's not one team that sticks out to me. Like, I can't pick a team and feel better about it than everyone else. So really, there's not a bad pick here, I don't think. Actually, there's only one pick that I really don't see winning, and we'll get into that later. But anyways, let's start with bracket 1: A&M, Oklahoma. A&M had to pitch their way a little bit into Omaha. Their offense was outstanding in the regional play. It's been outstanding all year, but it took a tick or two down in that Louisville Super Regional matchup. But honestly, I think that's something good to see. It shows that they're a very complete team. They don't have to rely on scoring double-digit runs a game to win, which you're going to have to pitch well. I will say you have to have a good pitching staff to win this thing, and I think something that favors A&M. Their starting pitching isn't really dominant. Most of their starters don't go deep into games, but they have a lot of pieces out of the bullpen that they can use day after day after day. So they have a lot of solid arms out of the pen that they can rely on almost every game, even if they were to fall in the losers bracket. So I think that is an advantage to them. And Oklahoma, man, if we're doing a reseeding list here, Oklahoma arguably, is up there at number 2 or 3 maybe. I mean, they look incredible. They have established 3 really good starting pitching. They probably have the most starting pitching depth in this field, I would feel like, and their offense is just hammering the ball. You have Peyton Graham, probably, easily one of the best hitters in college baseball. Pettis has been playing really well for them. They just have a lot of really good pieces, and they're playing a little better. So I think I'm going to take Oklahoma here in this first matchup, which would send A&M to the losers bracket. That brings us to Texas, Notre Dame. Pete Hansen, Texas go-to ace. He's been outstanding all year, but really struggled against East Carolina. Rip East Carolina, my national championship pick. They just choked, man. They choked. I was very disappointed. But honestly, I don't think East Carolina had what it took to win it all anyways. After looking at their pitching depth from the last few weekends, it just wasn't very impressive. So they weren't going to win it all anyways. But anyways, here we are, Texas. Pete Hansen going to be on the mound facing Notre Dame, one of the oldest teams college baseball has probably ever seen. This is tough, man. Texas, they're probably the most complete team here, one of the most talented teams here. But man, it just feels like every year. So let's see, Michigan in 2019 knocks off #1 UCLA at UCLA in the Supers. They go on to the championship game. Last year, NC State beats Arkansas, the #1 overall seed, in the Super Regional round, and they are in the driver's seat to be playing for a national championship, and then they got struck by COVID, which was just total bullcrap. Whatever. That's past it. NC State probably very easily could have won a national championship. So back to back years, the number one seed goes down to the team that almost won the national championship. And Notre Dame just has that same feeling to them, I feel like. Um, so I think I'm going to take Notre Dame. It's in Texas. So we'll have an A&M Texas match in the losers bracket, which will set up a Notre Dame Oklahoma winners bracket game, which will be really interesting. And I think I'm gonna have Texas knocking off A&M in the losers bracket. Nah, never mind. Texas goes 0-2. Screw Texas. Yeah, A&M beats Texas. There's really no reasoning behind that. I don't know. It really doesn't matter, dude. If you don't win your first game, you can't. I mean, you can, but it's very, very hard to win your bracket. So that'll set up, and then the Oklahoma Notre Dame match. I think I'm gonna take Oklahoma. Um, I just like the depth that they have, and I just think they're playing arguably the best baseball in the country right now. And they're very deep for a two seed. Um, so even if they were to go in the losers bracket, I don't think it would kill them. But I like Oklahoma to win that and eventually just win the regional or win this bracket. I'm not going to go game by game because that's not as important, and I want to keep this fairly short. And I don't know how each game is going to play out. Like game 9, who's going to be pitching who. I essentially just think Oklahoma is playing the best ball here, and I like them to win that first bracket. Now down to bracket 2, Stanford, Arkansas, Auburn, Ole Miss, and Stanford, a little bit of a tough draw in my opinion, man. I mean, I think they have the worst chance. They're the least likely team to win it all because they're paired up with 3 SEC West teams. And not many teams, like, if you're not in the SEC, you don't understand what it's like to go through the SEC gauntlet. And you just kind of fortunately get to catch, like, you don't have to face that. Stanford here now has to go through the SEC gauntlet. And at the end of the day, like, SEC was looking like they had a down year, but look, we have 4 teams here in Omaha. And whether you like them or not, like, if you don't like the SEC, it's just a fact that they get the best talent year in and year out. And their teams have the most talented rosters. Not saying Stanford's isn't talented. Like, a lot of their players probably could have went and played SEC ball, no doubt. But Stanford is going to get a taste of what the SEC's like, and I just don't like them here. So I have Arkansas winning that first game, and then I really like the way Auburn's playing right now. So is Ole Miss, man. Ole Miss is that's really a toss-up game for me. But I'm just going with the fairly better team all year, Auburn. I think Ole Miss they've had a good run, but you never know, man. They're playing really good. They could win this thing. So that sets up Ole Miss, Stanford, and Arkansas, Auburn. Arkansas they actually played Stanford this year, lost 5-0, and I went back and looked, and Arkansas pitched like 5 guys that they haven't used since February, and Stanford, like 7 of their innings were used by really key pitchers. So Arkansas's kind of seen, no, that was a while ago, but they've seen Stanford's pitching. Stanford really hadn't seen Arkansas's. So that's a bit of a leg up there, even though they lost to them earlier in the year. And then I like Arkansas to beat Auburn, head to the winners bracket. They'll be in the driver's seat and eventually go to a national championship. Well, they'll be playing Oklahoma. Sets up for an Oklahoma-Arkansas national championship. And this is really a toss-up. It'll probably go to 3 games. But it just kind of feels like one of those years, like Arkansas has been so close year after year after year. And their best year they had, well, to most people, I still think 2018 was the best team they had. But their best teams that they haven't been able to get it done. And not saying this team is bad, but but it's probably, it's not as good as the 2018 team. It's not as good as the 2021 team. Um, so just like it feels like, you know what, they're just gonna win it here. I don't know. So I have Arkansas as my national championship winner and Oklahoma as my runner-up.